Today on the Defo Show with Lubie, we talked with John Congemi on our Dateline Dolphins, brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill of Key Largo. We broke down the NFL playoffs. We specifically got really deep into the Tennessee Titans and the Cincinnati Bengals because we really felt the Chiefs and Bills was a toss-up. The Packers should take care of the San Francisco 49ers, and the Rams actually should be in good position to take out the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Titans and the Bengals seem like a game that's really hard to get into, especially since I'm a man that can't stand Ryan Tannehill because of what he was with the Miami Dolphins. We talked about him a long time when it came to his time here in Miami. So Defo, John Congemi, and myself talked a lot about not only that game, but my issues with Ryan Tannehill and why I root wholeheartedly against him here on our South Florida driven, the Defo Show with Lubie, Dateline Dolphins edition, only on 5 Reasons, here on Dateline Dolphins with John Congemi on the Defo Show with Lubie, South Florida driven for the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
All based around the fact that Lubie was called for jury duty, and also that John Congemi was a ringer on somebody's charity golf team, although he said he didn't really do that well because he was with a couple of real hackers. So there was tremendous pressure on him
to carry them.
I don't know. He had a couple of guys that own a pawn shop that bought a sponsorship into the tournament, and they said, we want Congemi. They knew he was a ringer, so he ended up having to carry a team on his back. But it was great. I got to meet John earlier this week with Tommy Fox for a little get-together at Bonefish Max.
Nice.
In, what is that, Lighthouse Point? And it was great because Tommy still went into the position and started blocking for you as you were making your exit to your car.
He did.
John Congemi, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, guys. Lubie, you look well from going to your civic duty. Sometimes those things just get lost in the mail. I don't know what happens to them, right, Defo?
That's what I've learned.
I learned that actually my first wife worked for attorneys and was in the legal field for it still is, I guess. And she told me, hey, how do they know you got the thing? No one ever responds to this. I mean, nobody in the legal field. You'll never see anybody and they might be disqualified anyway, which the best part was, Lubie, I can't believe it. The guy recognized, the defense attorney recognized Lubie as Lubie.
That's the best. That was the best part of the story.
At the end, he goes, yeah, well, what do you think about that, Lubie? Like, Lubie? What the hell is Lubie? Mr. Michael Q. Lubitz to you.
Exactly.
All right. You have to be as excited as I am. I know we had a little discussion about this, and a great slate of games. The first week, it was tremendous saturation of football. You had it on Saturday, Sunday, 3 games on Sunday. I think I watched them all. It was one of those rainy days here in South Florida, and I think I'd run out of gas completely, so I just watched them all. And then the Monday night game, you didn't have to pay too much attention to because it was blowout city with the Rams and the Cardinals. But very exciting last week, but even more so this week because you've weeded out a couple of the teams that you thought, well, this expansion of the playoffs might not have been such a great idea.
Well, I think you're right. You look at some of those matchups last week and you kind of circled the team with the points and you're going, I feel pretty good about it. This week, there's maybe only one outlier to me anyway. I don't know if San Francisco can pack their winter gear, get to Lambeau and play at a high level like they did last week. I mean, last week they were hitting on all cylinders and they really took it to the Cowboys. I don't know if that happens in the frozen tundra. I don't know if that can happen with a rested Green Bay Packer team and Aaron Rodgers. Now, the Packers historically have not really had that much success in terms of winning at all when they've had that week off or playing well in the divisional or championship, NFC championship game. But this is a different season, a different year, and I just think that Green Bay is going to be the team that emerges somehow, some way from the NFC.
Well, I hope you're right about that because I thought that was my lock of the playoffs. So I would send it in because I am ice cold. I don't know if you caught the opening segment. John.
I did. Defo, feel for you. Yeah, when Lubie can go and get numbers off the ground and just throw them together and walk away with a fistful of cash.
Yeah,
that's when you know you've got issues, right?
Oh my God! I mean, I really am tempted to take a fistful of my mother's ashes with me, put them in my pocket, and maybe visit some spiritualist out there in Las Vegas, or a TV evangelist that's been exiled to the desert, and just see if they can do anything with it, and maybe reverse this jinx. I had Meatloaf in the Deadpool up until Betty White checked out. Right, so then we redraw names, and I have like Terry Bradshaw now. Doesn't he look fine to you, John? I mean,
fine to me.
Thank God, he does.
He's got the hat. He's got everything going. He's outside in the cold.
He fakes
he's
you
laughing
out a little bit, though, when they go for the live shot, and he's got the cane, and he's wobbling a little bit. He's fine. Terry looks great.
Yeah, but he's only in like the 10th round at best. I mean, and they're going 15. So I have no shot with Bradshaw, and then I happen to be like waking up in the middle of the night to the news that Meatloaf checked out, and I'm thinking, wait, Meatloaf? We redrew. I have Bradshaw. So,
not even
again.
in the Deadpool. You're cold as ice.
I'm cold in life, and I'm cold in death right now. That's how bad it's going for me. But and this line moved in the other direction, and I'm looking at a series of handicappers in the New York Post. They have like 9 guys picking games, and 6 of them like the Packers in this game. The line moved down to 5 and a hook from 6. So whatever money was coming in to help balance the books there, it was coming in on San Francisco. And I wasn't overwhelmingly impressed with the way they finished that ball game. Were you?
Not really, but that's going to happen when you have teams that are kind of fringe teams. I was thinking about this yesterday and the day before about the NFL this year. Normally, when you have a bye week, you've got 1 or 2 teams that clearly are better than the others. I don't know if you have that this year. I don't know if you have a clearly a dominant football team that you feel like you can roll out, whether you're home, whether you've played so well during the season that you have that advantage of home field, or you can go on the road and just start slaying people. Come out of the depths of 5.5, 6.5, 7.5 points, where there's a clear difference in roster and talent and record, and you go on the road and you beat somebody in the playoffs. Buffalo, to me, has the best chance because they just have that mojo with them, and Kansas City was so low early compared to their standard. Now they've gotten so much better since then, but they're still a team that I feel that they're a little wounded. I still think you can get them somehow, some way, and if there's a team to do it, I think it's the Buffalo Bills, because when they turn on their A game, and if they do, it's better than Kansas City's. I think they have something about them that they're more of a cohesive team. They complement each other a little bit more than Kansas City.
See, I'm a big Mahomes fan. I know we were talking about that. I like to see this kid do well. He was such a delightful story.
Yeah.
He was lighting it up. I mean, he made the game exciting, and he says and does all the right things. And he's got that kind of different sounding voice. So, he's just a lot of fun. And
he is.
When he's playing, it's a high wire act in the circus. It's just absolutely great. And they're marching up and down the field. But it's kind of like when Milli Vanilli realized that they were out of sync with the song at the stadium. I mean, it's just not quite all there. Yeah, I mean, one of those underhanded laterals that goes for a touchdown last week, all of a sudden that thing deflects off one of his own guys' rear ends, and you have the butt fumble all over again. It seems like he's been involved in several of those kind of clown plays also. Including early in the game against Pittsburgh, when, he did his usual thing, run into his right, and he's going to throw it back into the middle of the field. You know how dangerous a move that is. You're throwing a ball blindly into traffic.
Yes.
And T.J. Watt ended up swatting the ball in the air. And, he put them on the brink of disaster early in that game. Now, they rallied and were magnificent, but they seem more vulnerable. I mean, maybe it's an illusion what happened with Buffalo last week, but they clearly put on the best show and demonstration of anybody that played in the postseason, and that was against Belichick, not a guy that's accustomed to having his nose rubbed in the in the stuff that's on the ground.
Those are the types of games that you can kind of stay on a roll, and that's why I said that Buffalo might have the best chance going on the road and being able to beat a really good Kansas City team in a tough environment. That's the other thing. You have a quarterback in Josh Allen, like Mahomes. Mahomes is going to scramble, get down. Josh Allen's going to scramble and run over you, and people are going to go the other direction. Now, somehow, some way down the road, Josh may get into trouble, but not right now. I think defensive backs are shying away from trying to knock him out because they're just bouncing off of him. And on a cold night, a cold day in Kansas City, I just think that could be a difference that keeps Buffalo in the game. When you think Kansas City's going to take over, all of a sudden another running first down by Josh Allen keeps the offense on the field. They find a way to get points, and now they're hanging around. It's the second half. It's the fourth quarter, and they've got the ball with a chance to win. I just feel and see that scenario happening because of the type of player on both sides. I think Mahomes keeps going, keeps scoring and gives Kansas City that electric opportunity to score all the time. Josh Allen, I think, is going to have the ball with a chance to win at the end of that game.
I love this talk, man. John Congemi, Dateline Dolphins with us here, brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill here on Ion Channel, ionchannel.com. You can find us by Googling the Defo Show, streaming audio, and having a great conversation last night with Jack and Amy. They say the audio is killing it, so that's good. Doug does a tremendous job there, yeah. And the video's coming around, exponentially growing with each and every word that we speak here on the program. But no, good to be with you. And if you look at Kansas City, also, I mean, it struck me, they had, I mean, power on all sides of their offense. They could hit you in the face with a haymaker, whether it was Hill or Kelsey dominating the game. I didn't see as much of that. And with all due respect to the city that your alma mater is in, Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh wasn't a team that was going to be able to put any real pressure on the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, they got their first touchdown on fumble, and then they didn't score until late in the game when it was already, garbage time. But the Bills are going to be, I think they're just going to be able to administer, immense, relentless pressure throughout the ball game, unless they somehow go south, overnight, which, I mean, it's weird how that happens in especially the NFL, John Congemi, where you'll see like a complete reversal of form sometimes from one week to the next.
That's where you have to rely on the guy that's handling the football, every play. And that's elite play at the quarterback position. Even though weather tends to get into the, factor of winning and losing, and home field advantage does as well as you get into the playoffs and you get deeper into the playoffs, it's usually, Kyler Murray laying an egg that kind of shows you where your team's at. You didn't think that was going to happen, but when he threw the grenade out of the end zone and he kind of waltzed into for an easy touchdown, that game was really over. They could have waved on both sidelines. So, you know what? We've had enough. We're good. We're going to take it to the house. And that's how it really comes down to, in my opinion, when you take a look at the quarterbacks that are remaining in the playoffs. How solid and how confident do you feel if you're the home team that your guy is going to be able to play and outduel a defense that's coming at you with maybe a couple different wrinkles? Do you trust him? Is he going to protect the football? Is he going to make that off-the-cuff play that kind of separates and gets you the momentum on your side? Or do you have the guy that's more of a, I'm depending on the defense setting up field position. I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm not going to kind of color outside the lines. I'm just going to run the offense. And if I've got a better team than yours, I should be able to win in the end. I feel that with, Tennessee. Are they going to be able to color outside the lines now with Derrick Henry coming back with play action, getting those explosive plays in the offense, where Joe Burrow's got the cape on, he throws it off, he's just coming at you. This is a guy that's going to be an aggressive young quarterback like most that are left, in the playoffs, other than Brady and Rodgers. He's gonna go just try to make plays with his playmakers because he knows his chances are limited. If they don't create turnovers against Tennessee may have the ball for 30 plus minutes if they're rolling. So it's one of those games and one of those situations where you go, okay, is my guy going to be able to make enough plays with his opportunities, or is Tennessee going to play keep away? I think the storylines in these games in the playoffs are intriguing because you have a lot of shifting and movement in terms of veteran quarterbacks, young guys that are still trying to prove it, and defenses that have been solid and some have been exposed.
John Congemi, Dateline Dolphins here, taking a look at the upcoming weekend of NFL playoff games on a Deal Volkswagen Degenerate Friday here on ION Channel. A couple of things. I know Lubie has some questions for you, John, but I couldn't help but think, I was convinced that you talk about a quarterback that can go out there and just be a common denominator, metronomic throughout, and keep the team from going into any kind of a negative slide. I felt that way about Danny Boy, your good friend, Dan Marino. 1985. I still, the pain, and I mentioned my mother's ashes. I may have to take another fistful to compensate her tragic feelings about the amount of money I lost in that game. Convinced. Does Dan Marino? I don't like to make you pry into Dan's personal life. Does he have a voodoo doll of Jay Brophy, the linebacker? Well, literally, I mean, he was spinning like a dreidel there as he was trying to cover Roger Craig and Wendell Tyler, running back out of UCLA, and he could not stop them. And Walsh was having a field day going, you see, this is the offense I designed, Shula. And that was it. But
you talk about
I thought he could do it. I thought he could carry him, yeah.
You talk about bad matchups. Just think, if you think through now with the lens of 2022 and you go back and you look at that game, there's no one on the roster of the Miami Dolphins that were going to cover those guys coming out of the backfield, right?
No, not Jay Brophy. No, it was for sure. And I like Jay. I mean, look, he was a UM guy. Everybody wanted the Dolphins to draft UM guys, so they took, I think Brophy was a second-round pick. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't like he was Zach Thomas out there, but man, I mean, I've never seen a matchup, exploited to that extreme as San Francisco did that day in the Super Bowl. Otherwise, Danny probably has a ring and doesn't have to answer that question for 40 years.
Right. San Francisco did what some, in a microcosm way, like what Danny used to do to other teams with Tony Nathan and Jim Jensen and Terry Kirby, just option routes underneath. Send the big guys or the Smurfs down the field and think that you're going to stretch the field. Now you've got all this room underneath. And, the Dolphins defense didn't have answers that day. And unfortunately, that was the heyday. You look back at some of those San Francisco teams or Pittsburgh Steelers or Dallas Cowboys, when they had their run, they were elite. And that's when you look at this year's slate, you see very good football teams, but I don't know if any one of those teams are elite. Any one of those teams, you could make a case for the other, how they're going to win and how they're going to take down the favorite. And in that game, I don't know. I think Dan and the offense would have had to score in the high 30s or 40s to have a chance.
That was ugly. I think like Jimmy Cephalo had a touchdown catch in that game, or ran a kickback or something. And that was about it. The money was up in smoke very quickly. And my mother's anxiety, lasted all the way till, she finally went to that great casino in the sky. Before Lubie gets in here with his question for you, John, and any of his theories, what's at stake here in this Tennessee game. And no sportscaster, we were talking with Ian Eagle on our Believe podcast yesterday. No sportscaster wants to be known as being dead wrong about something, right? So, Lubie has proclaimed, like a lot of people did, and you would hear this all over town, right? Ryan Tannehill will never lead a team to a Super Bowl. Right, so that was said over and over and over again. I don't know if I was on that side of things, but I probably would have been inclined to believe that. And Lubie was screaming this for years, right? So now what's the worst thing that could happen is that Ryan Tannehill is literally like 2 games away from taking a team to the Super Bowl. He almost got there before with this Tennessee team.
Yes.
And I'm not convinced. I don't know which way to go in that game. That one, I'm not sure what Cincinnati's going to look like in that ball game. And they didn't even need Derrick Henry, Tennessee, to continue what they were doing. But if Lubie has to eat his words, he is rooting so hard for Tannehill to have the worst game of his life. So that years after he was making these ridiculous proclamations, totally denigrating the name of Ryan Tannehill, he even made fun of his wife, I think. And, and he just doesn't want to be wrong. And yet it's very possible. I don't know. What do you think? It's hard to see either Tennessee or Cincinnati beating the emerging winner from the KC game against Buffalo.
I agree with that. But I will bring the caveat that if Tennessee plays their game and doesn't turn it over on offense, they're going to be a tough out. I just think that with their running game, they can keep the opposing quarterback, the opposing offense on the sidelines, and they win time of possession, and they're really good in the red zone. They have great play action to rely on with tight ends that are capable, and I think that keeps an offense on the field. It wears down an opposing defense, and that's where Ryan Tannehill can be effective. You saw without, minus the Dolphins game when they ran for about 800 yards that day in Nashville. It's one of those teams where when they hit the skids, they're not going to score a lot of points. They're going to turn the football over. They're not going to be as high percentage on third down, and they're going to be exposed. But when they can control the line of scrimmage, when they can run the football effectively, they get to their play action. They've got talent on the outside as well, not just with tight end and running back. That's where they're in their strike zone. And when Tannehill starts to get in a more of a rhythm thrower, when his back foot hits and it balls out, he doesn't expose the football. He doesn't take sacks. He's athletic enough to get out of the pocket. When he has timing in the offense, that's when they're at their best. When he holds the football, when you don't have the running game and you can get after the quarterback, that's when Tennessee's offense gets a little bit exposed. So if Cincinnati can somehow early withstand the line of scrimmage, if they can bow their necks on defense, make Tennessee punt the football, win field position and get a lead, that's where you want to be if you're Cincinnati. I think if you're chasing, you're okay because you've got the firepower of Joe Burrow and, I don't know. I mean, Jamal Chase could be Rookie of the Year with the numbers he put up. But I just don't know if you want to be chasing 2 touchdowns or 10 points or, 13 points. You'd like to have a 3-point touchdown lead and make Tennessee get out of their comfort zone.
I like the bowed neck reference because we were talking about that with relation to horse body language. And, of course,
that's right. That's right.
I'm on the coldest streak of my life, John. And so I actually texted a friend of mine, a very, influential guy in my life in a very positive way, and a great supporter of the programs that we do. And there was a horse called Dan's Victory. The guy's name is Dan, right? So and I see the horse come on the track, and he has the bowed neck. And all of a sudden, the odds are dropping. He's like 6-1, 5-1, 4-1. So at the last second, as they're going into the gate, and I prayed that he did not get my text in time to get down any action on this horse, because Dan will send it in with both fists. I mean, he has a little bit of guilt. And the horse ran dead last. I mean, not even a respectable dead last. I mean, it was such a dead last that, you would have thought maybe they euthanized this horse on the backstretch, but it didn't work. But I appreciate the reference on a Degenerate Friday. This is your first appearance on a Degenerate Friday show, and you're getting into the spirit of things right away. All right, Lubie, I don't know. I probably did I blow your question there by throwing Tannehill out there, because you knew John was going to say something along the lines of as long as he's not a Dolphin, he's got a shot.
No, John sort of answered. I was just going to talk about the game because we've seen the Titans now. There's sort of a trend where as long as they're playing a decent team, not a good team, they can ride King Henry, and he should be decent enough, and Dante Foreman's good enough where they can ride the run game, limit Tannehill, and they win these games, and especially even in the playoffs. So my question is, are the Bengals better than a decent team and good enough to actually take away Henry? Because to me, the Bengals are up and coming. And when you watch the NBA, you always see this. The young team, it takes a couple years to get through, and then they grow, and then they're there. The NFL, I don't know if it's exactly like that, but the Bengals, to me, feel like a team on the come up. Not that they're there yet, whereas the Titans really got to get it done now, or this thing's going to get broken up at some point sooner than later.
Well, Lubie, I think the one stat you want to look at is third down in terms of how Tennessee does converting. Are they 3rd and 4? Are they 3rd and 3? Or are they in situations where it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 11 because you have a negative play on 1st or 2nd down? If Cincinnati's defense can win the line of scrimmage early in the game and kind of force that 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7 instead of 3rd and 2, or hey, it's first down, it's an 11-yard run. It's first down, it's an 8-yard run. It's first down, it's a 6-yard run. And now you have options for Ryan Tannehill. Yeah. You're not kind of going after him as the defensive coordinator, playing man-to-man on the outside on A.J. Brown and trying to win, the tight end battle with your nickel or your tight end on the inside. I think those are the things that in that game in particular, down in distance for Tennessee and for Cincinnati on defensively, will be very important through the first 30 minutes of the game. Because when you're running in at halftime for that 10-minute break and you look up and you see 17-7 Tennessee, that's a bad trend. Because I don't know Cincinnati has the firepower to come back, but that gives the advantage to Tannehill and that offensive line and that running game. But if it's 17-14, if it's 20-17, if it's something within a field goal, or if Cincinnati has the lead, I think you feel pretty good about their chances.
Lubie's worst nightmare, man. It really is. Iron Eagle hit it on the head. He said nobody wants to be known and exposed as a clown and have to eat your words years later. Tannehill taking a team to the Super Bowl. It's a sitch.
So just to finish off that segment, yes, Ryan Tannehill making the Super Bowl, something I said for 7 years would never happen. He has made an AFC championship, which I did not think would happen. He got routed in the AFC championship because they needed him to do more, and he couldn't because he's Ryan Tannehill. So yes, to recap, Ryan Tannehill finding his way to a Super Bowl, however they got there, would make me viscerally ill, sick to my stomach. I don't see it happening, so I think I'm safe. We'll see as this weekend's action unfolds. Coming up, we had a conversation with the one and only legendary handicapper, Mark Lawrence. This is a Deal Degenerate Friday on the Defo Show with Lubie. So we got to have a little handicapping. The divisional round is here. Mark Lawrence up next. The championship winning handicapper will give his best play of the NFL playoff weekend right here on the Defo Show with Lubie on 5 Reasons Sports Network. Recently we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. 8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side? All right, so we shake off mocking me and my distaste for Ryan Tannehill and the Tennessee Titans' future prospects to talking about the NFL playoffs at large with a man who knows what he's talking about, a man who has won championships as a handicapper, a guy who really follows the trends and knows his own thing, has his own website, his own newsletter, playbooksports.com. The Defo Show with Lubie on this Deal Degenerate Friday. We welcome championship handicapper Mark Lawrence right here to the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
I do have to preface this, and some might consider this in poor taste, as a warning to Mark Lawrence that he's dealing with dead meat here, literally. Mark, how are you, my friend? And we issue warnings as mandated by the FCC that you're about to enter into the degenerate twilight zone.
I was going to say the
because I am Arctic tundra. We're talking Lambeau Field type of cold right now in my last several visits to the racetrack and any selections that I've made. How are you, Mark? Are you okay trudging into what could be shark-infested waters as a hemophiliac?
Well, you mentioned dead meat, Defo, and I thought you were going to go another route here. And one of the legendary all-time singers passed away this morning, Meatloaf, right?
Well, that was the thing, and I was alarmed. I was startled. I woke up to this news. About 3 a.m, and they come off with this flash, and I had Meatloaf, which I wasn't happy about it because I thought he had gone on a health kick. And I had him in the Deadpool, and that Deadpool was taken down when Betty White checked out a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
So we had to redraw names, and then there it is. It would have only been, one shot, no rollover, but I could have used the several dimes that were associated with that, but I no longer had his name. I got Terry Bradshaw, who looks fine, right?
Maybe the
what kind of line can I get on Bradshaw?
Yeah. Maybe the Deadpool people.
Yeah, you would have to draw enormous odds, for that to work out. So, I was Very sorry to hear of his passing, and especially so because I'm so cold that I can't, even when a guy checks out, I can't cash. It's incredible. All right, Mark, and I am tempted. I don't know. Does this work? I'm tempted to take, I'm going to take a fistful of my mother's ashes out to Vegas and kind of lay a little trail to the craps table and then kind of roll, the dice in her honor. And hope to snap the streak. How do you get out of like a bad losing streak? You're too disciplined for this kind of stuff, aren't you? I mean, you know how to kind of take back a little bit if things aren't going the way that they logically would in the way that you handicap.
Well, it's exactly what you're supposed to do, Defo, is, cut everything back and, go on a hiatus, take a little bit of a break, read a book.
Thanks, Mark.
So he's going to Vegas.
Are you going to recommend GA next? No, I'm that cold. I just wanted you to know before you give your selections here on the show. You have been hot, my friend.
Yes.
How did you fare last week overall? Because you have been zeroed in on this stuff. Now, a lot of favorites won because there were some lopsided, matchups there in the first round of the playoffs with the expansion. But how did it go in general for PlaybookSports.com?
Well, we split them out on our service basically because, as you mentioned, the favorites, a lot of them won, which was irregular for wild card weekend. But only one dog cashed last week, and
that's right.
So it made the waters a little bit murky, if you will, trying to navigate through all that stuff. But, they're trends. That's what they are. Everything trends positive and negative. And it was a little bit tough for dog lovers last week.
How sickened are you when you see the chalk just running away with the game early? It can't be an easy thing for you to watch. And yet, there were some fascinating aspects to last week's numerology because when Philadelphia scored like a couple of touchdowns in what essentially was garbage time there in the fourth quarter, they got to 31-15 after being bludgeoned all throughout that ballgame against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was laying like 8.5 in that game, I think, Mark, when it went off at post time. And if Philadelphia could have got, some kind of stoppage, it didn't seem like Tampa Bay was really, and they didn't put up any more points, and maybe generated one more drive and get the 2-point conversion, then people that were hopelessly out of this ballgame, that were ready to pop a cyanide cap, all of a sudden get the cover and end up on the winning side.
Yeah, what we saw last week, I think, Defo, was largely a result of expanding the playoffs. And you saw a lot of teams that were involved in the playoffs that perhaps shouldn't have been there, wouldn't have been there in years past. And hence we found quite a few more blowout-type games last week. And it didn't sit well with, I don't think, one, the National Football League, and two, especially for the sharps in Vegas who like to bet, on live dogs. And it turned out a lot of those dogs last week ended up having fleas.
I know the feeling. Trust me, I know it well at this point. And I'm still concerned about my Vegas trip coming up next week.
God.
All right, let's get into some plays here. PlaybookSports.com. Mark Lawrence, World Championship handicapper, been dynamite all season long. Has never picked a favorite here on the show, and has a substantial upside winning record from his selections this year. So we'll let you take the stage, Mark Lawrence. Give us whatever you have for our listeners and viewers out there for this week's card of NFL playoff games.
Well, we're gonna tread lightly this week, and it's almost to the same adage of taking back after a choppy week, and we're going to end up focusing on one live dog this particular week, and that live dog happens to be out of the school of what I call what you don't know will kill you, and it's what you do know or what you can learn that could end up maybe avoiding disaster. A lot of people are going to knee-jerk to Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks this week for a couple of reasons. Number one, what they saw last week, as you mentioned, that 31-0 out of the gate, for all intents and purposes, rout over the Philadelphia Eagles. But when you look deeper inside these numbers, you see things that aren't so pleasant. Number one, Tom Brady himself in the postseason has not been a money maker. As a favorite in his postseason career, he's only 17-17 against the point spread. He's also never beat the Rams since he's gone over to Tampa Bay. He's gone up against them twice, and he's lost both football games straight up as a favorite in both contests. And then you bring on the other side of the coin here, Sean McVay from the Rams, who was He's the best coach in the National Football League in road games in his career. He's 30-14. He's won 30 of his 44 games away from home, straight up on the scoreboard, has Sean McVay. 9-4 to the spread in that role as an underdog. And even better, Sean McVay against teams out of the NFC South, where Tampa Bay resides. He has been a dog 3 times, and he's beat all 3 of those teams straight up without the points. I'm going to look for that dice. I'm going to roll those dice and look for that number to go to 4-0. I'm going to play in this contest here the L.A. Rams plus the points to send Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucs packing this weekend.
All right, that was the kill me or let me live. What was the theory on that one?
Well, you don't know will kill you.
You don't know will kill you. Yeah.
Yes. So now we know.
That's a great one. I love this one. And now we know.
All right. So, anything else you want to lay out there, or you're going to be? You said you were going to be relatively reserved.
Yes, he's
in terms of your action this weekend.
Well, the thing of it is you can also look at the over/under total side of games. People that like to play overs and unders and totals and all that stuff. And last week was really, really strong to the unders in wild card games, and it almost flip-flop reverses to the overs in divisional contests. And you're looking at a game that looks like it might not have a chance to go over, if no other reason because of the weather, but the 2 teams. But don't be surprised if San Francisco and Green Bay put up quite a few points this particular weekend up at Lambeau Field here. Teams with rest, as the Green Bay Packers have here, do really, really rather well playing in that first playoff game at home with that week of rest, especially against teams that come in off underdog upset wins. Those are very high-scoring football affairs. I think we'll see just that when Green Bay is at Lambeau Field this weekend.
47 points I have as the number, the most recent one I've seen, which I think is yesterday's news, but nonetheless, not an unachievable total there, especially if Green Bay is on its game and San Francisco does anything on offense. Now, what would you say to the person? I'll never forget this. I was listening to like an overnight radio show back in the day when they actually had like live guys on overnight. And, it was a sick degenerate, calling in, and the guy was totally strung out. And he started his phone call by saying, it was Pro Bowl weekend, and I figured I had to get out, right? So the guy was trying to get out on the Pro Bowl.
Oh, no.
And it's interesting that you said, you don't have like an overwhelmingly strong feeling about these games coming up, because it's going to be a little tougher to tell. But what would you say to the person that's thinking, he's stuck 20 dimes for the season, so he's going to go ahead and, just roll all of the dice and go all in on this weekend in terms of money management?
It sort of goes to a theory of mine, and it's one that I've used a lot or professed a lot, and it's basically that if you're going to bet the ranch on a game, you had better have a backup ranch.
Such wisdom. That almost sounds like it came from Asian prophets.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
Good theory. All right. You know what? There's a safety net out there, and it's all of the statistical data and analysis that you guys do in brilliant fashion here. I mean, why can't you help Joe Biden out with the math so we can get this bill passed here? We can all go back to paying $3 for gas, or $2.50. Playbooksports.com. How can people get themselves all of this information and access to all of the great things you do, Mark Lawrence?
Well, it's everything available, Defo, as you know, online at playbooksports.com. We've got this week's divisional round newsletter locked and loaded, filled with all kinds of great stats and information. Also, our weekly basketball newsletter. It comes out every Friday, just in time for the games tipping off tomorrow. So check it out all online, playbooksports.com.
All right, always a pleasure, my friend. A brilliant season so far, and we're hoping for the best for all of your selections. And of course, playbooksports.com. Great, source of information. People are all telling you. You have Mariucci telling you, do your research, right? They got like J.J. Walker telling you, do your research. Well, there's the best research you can find for any kind of trend handicapping available at playbooksports.com, whether you're talking totals, college basketball, pro hoops, whatever it is, hockey, right? Shoot the puck. Mark Lawrence has it. Mark, always a pleasure, my friend. Best of luck to you in the pro games over the weekend.
Hey, my pleasure as always, Defo. You and Mikey be well. Stay safe. Good luck this weekend. And remember, don't bet a lot of games. As Meatloaf once said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, okay?
You're the best. Thanks, Lawrence. Man. So, championship winning handicapper Mark Lawrence never disappoints, always has some great information for you, great statistics, and really fun ways to get it out to you so you understand, and you can go out there and make your own wagers. It is a deal to generate Friday here on the Defo Show with Lubie. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you all enjoy the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and check back us Monday on the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?